look, Vance, in the interest of time, then I am going to say, all right, we've got your story, your period in the NSA. Now I want to get to this missile firing by North Korea. And the first thing I want to ask you is, the information that you relayed to Richard, and you're his NSA source, was this information you gathered back in the 80s or early 90s while you were in the NSA, or is it current information?
It is current.
All right. If it is current, then the implication is that it has come from within the NSA, contacts that you, to this day, still have, or are you willing to say more?
They come from contacts that I have phone, email, certain contacts with, that make certain calls, make certain inquiries, and I need to preface this, Art, with the audience, because the audience as a civilian populace, and I'm sorry if I use a military term here, are not in the know of how the intelligence community gathers information and how they put it together.
Obviously.
I was an analyst within the military.
You were an NSA analyst.
An analyst. That means I took certain portions of information, put them together, and reported to a higher level where they took those, they put them together with other sources of information until you get to a point where there's someone sitting at top or a group of someone.
Who knows it all.
Who knows it all.
It is compartmentalized.
Correct.
Obviously.
So that the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, if that makes any sense. It's a protection. Now, what I have done, I've formed a company, a corporation, that gathers information, books, documents for storage. Certain things we do not talk about by contract, other things we can. But it has to be done in the right way, because if you're fed misinformation, then that messes up the kernels of truth, because you have to dig through a lot of garbage to get to the key of what's really going on.
All right, so let's just cut through the garbage and say the information you're about to give us has come from sources inside NSA that you consider not to be disinformation, sources you trust, yes?
Yes, and other sources other than NSA.
All right, but also including NSA. That's the important key thing.
Yes.
All right, fine.
And some of those sources are technical remote viewing, remote sensing, data information or encrypted information.
You're now speaking of sources other than NSA.
Correct. ELINT and comment, which is electronic intelligence, communications intelligence, on-ground intelligence, and people who have the wherewithal to even make phone calls to certain sites in certain areas around the world.
All right. What Ed Dames said last night, was that anybody in your position, ex-NSA or not, who's telling us that giving us an extremely sensitive piece of information, like that the North Koreans were aiming at a nuclear reactor in Japan and fired 2 missiles trying to hit it, missing both times, that person would end up behind bars or worse. And that I have to agree is what I think would happen too. And that is what you're saying, right?
Yes, I would agree with his statement. In fact, if we read it back here, in response to someone with NSA talking, and he quotes, "I had an office in NSA as well as the other intelligence agencies. Anybody who talks to Richard from NSA would already tonight be behind bars.
That's right.
I know the NSA like the back of my hand. That's jail time."
Okay, that sounds.
Is that correct?
That sounds like a statement that I would generally agree with. Something on this level,
and I would tend to agree with that also. The interesting thing is, and we have to really look at this, that we have an internal war going on, and they're using the media, they're using art, they even use you.
No, it's just
they use me. I guarantee you they're using me in some assets. Otherwise, I still wouldn't have connections. And they're using Richard. And they're trying to play the game with the public to see which way and what the public may do, what they're going to believe, what they're not going to believe. And that's a decision the public has to make of their own accord. As a sovereign individual, we each have to make that decision. Now, I will tell you this. I may be wrong because of the information I got and how I put it together. That is a part of intelligence gathering and part of this system.
All right, what exactly do you know? Did I state it correctly, that your sources told you that North Korea was trying to hit a nuclear plant in Japan with 2 missiles?
The information I received from about 5 different sources was that this was a scare tactic to shake up Japan.
Now, wait a minute. Already there's a difference.
No, not
scare
really.
tactic.
They fired 2 missiles. Okay?
Yes.
One of them went over.
Japan.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
That one outright missed, overshot its target.
Okay.
Okay?
What was...
I understand they were going after
Yes.
a nuclear site near Tokyo.
Then that's not trying to scare somebody. That's trying to
Yes, it is.
kill a lot of people.
Well, yes, and it would have. At the same time, the other one early on, which may still be part of a second stage,
Yes.
but it was believed that they were trying to hit a area being built as a second site for nuclear power, because it was their belief in North Korea that Japan and South Korea were working on giving South Korea nuclear capability.
Well, you know, I really, at this point, hold on, everybody. I really kind of agree with Ed Dame's statement that anybody who would say what Vance Davis has just said, quoting NSA sources, would be in jail or worse for saying what he's saying. This would be intelligence that would be top secret. I don't rule out the possibility. In fact, if you look at a map, they could have launched south and never been over any landmass at all. So why did they launch toward and over Japan? Nothing makes any sense anymore.